when we hit that midpoint in age, you start to realize how important time is, and you do not want to take it for granted, and you do not want to take a single day where it's like you drift or coast. What is possible if you went in the deep end every day? And the deep end doesn't mean a full calendar necessarily, but it's like in the deep end of that pursuit that to me makes a juicy, delicious life that people will talk about. That's legacy.
Hello, dear listeners. It's that time again when we stroll through the paths of ambition, desire, and success. Welcome to the Dare to Declare podcast, where we explore the enchanting world of giant manifestors who turn their visions and goals into the stuff of legends. I couldn't help but wonder, how do some people create the lives they've always dreamed of? Is it the magic of manifesting, the power of perseverance, or perhaps just a dash of serendipity? Well, dear friends, grab your coffee cups because we're about to spill the tea on fascinating journeys of those who dare to dream big and make it happen. Join me as we sip on success stories and ponder the ever-enticing question, can we all manifest our dreams into reality, or is it just an urban fairy tale? I'm your host, Debbi Sluys, and I'm here to guide you through the labyrinth of achievement with heart and soul. Ready to dare to declare? Let's get started. Welcome everyone to the Dare to Declare podcast. Today I have a very special guest, and it's Jen from the Iconic magazine. Now, Jen is the founder of Becoming Iconic and the founder of the editor and editor-in-chief of the Iconic magazine, as well as a mom of four. Jen has helped thousands of women worldwide build successful businesses, resulting in over 100 million in sales through her full-service brand that incorporates mentorship and done-for-you creative services. Renowned for her innovative approach to business and her impeccable leadership, her consulting and mentorship consistently generates wait lists. In 2022, after losing her social media, Jen launched Iconic magazine alongside her top 100 podcast, the Iconic Podcast. This bold move transformed into a globally recognized media powerhouse. Often described as Forbes meets Vogue, the magazine has garnered over 10 million impressions and has reached 48 plus countries. Now an established media company, Iconic magazine provides a triple threat PR opportunity for visionary women looking to be seen, heard, and remembered. Welcome, Jen.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I'm blushing.
Very good. Well, let me make you blush some more, because when we met just a little while ago, just about a month ago, what stood out, you were a keynote speaker at a women's event, and you were saying things that, yes, I've taken lots of personal development before, I've taken coaching, but you said things in a way that were writer downers. I was taking copious notes and I was having ahas, and I thought, I have never heard it said in that way before, which really helped you stand out, make you different, and gave me the courage to go up and ask you, hey, do you want to be on my podcast?
Well, thank you so much, Debbie. And I appreciate being here, by the way. I know what goes into creating a podcast. And so I recognize you and give you lots of kudos for doing this and creating this and bringing this to life for all the people that get to absorb the information and be a part of it. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And, the last line in your bio talks about opportunity for visionary women. So, of course, that's a woman after my own heart, being that I'm the queen of vision boards, looking to be seen, heard, and remembered. And so what I want to do is I want to do something a little different today, in that I'm going to go back, and I went back into my notes that I took that day. And I'm going to ask if you would highlight and expand on some of the points that caught my attention, and if you would further expound on those. So one of the things, you said something right at the very beginning that, again, had me open my notebook, and it was, you're going to hear a lot of things repeated, and we already had. So by the time you got on stage, the organizers had talked, there was some other sponsors who had spoken, and you're like, oh, some of these things are going to be in my talk. But what I love that you did is you reframed it around abundance. And again, it was like, yeah. So can you talk a bit about this idea of what made you say that, and around this idea of abundance?
Yeah, of course. Well, I feel like there's not a lot of unique sayings or thoughts out there anymore. A lot of what we're hearing is redundant in certain ways. But thought leadership to me is being able to take a concept, whether it's repetitive or new, sit with it, wrap your own story and experience around it, and share it through your own lens. That's actually thought leadership. Not many of us are coming up with brand new thoughts. And so when I was at the event, and this happens all the time, especially in personal growth and development, we hear the same thing over and over. And two things can happen. Either we tune out, we think, oh my gosh, this is so repetitive. Like I've already heard this. And so that's the ego slipping in, almost like I know this already. And that leads me into the second piece of, almost not allowing yourself to hear the message because you're disassociating or removing yourself from hearing what you're meant to hear because of the repetition. Repetition to me means there's a commonality happening in the room right now. This is abundance. This means we're on the same page. We're speaking the same language. We're visualizing similar things. We have agreements. We have values that are similar. And so to me, that is a beautiful way of knowing you're in a synchronistic place with women who are the same in sort of thinking and thought. So I don't look at that as, oh my gosh, I heard this 100 times. I look at that and go, I know that. Yes, okay, perfect. I'm on the right track. This means that I'm moving forward with more information, but affirmation that I know this, I'm doing this, I've integrated it. So next, what else is out there for me?
So good. The reframe, instead of diminishing, it expands. And so, in my world around energy and around frequency, what it made me do is lean in instead of lean out and say, what else is here? And instead of, like you said, thinking about, well, I already know that and making it small, it actually reframed it to say, I'm in the right spot. So amazing. So you have a framework, and I don't know if this is exactly what you call it, but it was being, doing, and becoming. And so would you spend a little time in each of those areas and talk about how this connects back into being iconic around being, doing, and becoming?
What's so interesting, Debbie, is when I go on stages, I have sort of a framework in my mind of the things I want to say, but I don't actually memorize. Like I really speak from my heart. I trust myself. So it's interesting. You're asking me these questions like, what did I say? Because when I'm on the stage, I just let my spirit come through. So sometimes I actually leave the stage and go, I don't know what I said, but I hope it was good. But I actually do remember what this trilogy was. And the trilogy for me is what helps a woman become this incredible version of herself, one that she wakes up excited to meet every single day, and simultaneously helps her build her career or her business, that passion that she has. They don't, this, they, By doing this trilogy, everything benefits. So that's the good news before I get into it. The context behind it matters because if you actually hear this and then you do this, you're going to have such an incredible outcome, not just only in who you are when you see yourself in the mirror, but the side effects of everything you touch within your day. So to me, I think we have things backwards in the online space, especially. But in most businesses, we want the result before we become the woman that can hold and handle that result. I see it a lot with the women that hire me. They really want to scale to $1 million businesses. I think we should have a way bigger conversation. Speaking to your audience and you, who is a visionary, I think we're actually capping and lidding ourselves yet again. I've had this realization recently. I'm like, gosh, we've just done it again, where we've put a ceiling on it. Like $1 million is this be all and end all. Well, not anymore. I was in a room 2 weeks ago with women who were selling their companies for $7 billion, 1.45 like $1 billion conversations. And so I say that just to expand her immediately as she's listening, but also to remember that when we're asking for those big, beautiful, gorgeous visions that we have for ourselves, to expect it to come quickly without aches and pains, some sweat equity, some stick-to-itness and growth curves is really naive. It is. It's basically saying, I want all the results, but I don't want to put all the work in to get it. And I fear that we are showing women, especially in the online space, because it's all smoke and mirrors and it looks all good. And hey, I build brands that look really beautiful and good. So I understand it, the aesthetic, but we also have to have honest conversations. So the being to me comes from this this place where I got into hustle yet again, this constant loop of feeling like I was never doing enough. I had to keep going, which led me into overwhelm. So I wake up most mornings, and the very first thought as I was coming to awareness was, oh my gosh, I got so much to do today. Like, it wasn't abundance. It wasn't a positive, fulfilling energy. It was negative. It made my heart instantly start to pound in my chest and feel like I was just chasing my day, chasing all the things I had to do. And so I wanted to interrupt that pattern because I wasn't quite sure how to. I mean, obviously, I'm coming from the subconscious mind to consciousness. How do I interrupt that? I don't know. So I thought, well, I'm just going to do something right away when I wake up to prompt me and anchor me into what I actually desire. So I bought myself a silk robe. And as I put that silk robe on, once I received it, the touch of the silk on my skin changed who I was. It was this reminder of softness, of generosity, of abundance, of growth, of what's possible, desire, pleasure, fulfillment. And so my day started to become different because I was leading it differently. I just dropped into this feminine energy. So the being is who you are when nobody's looking. The being is, what do you say to yourself, and how are you going to interrupt those patterns that are not serving? The being is being so radically responsible for yourself that you are never going to blame or justify outside of who you are. Then the doing comes. When we are being that leader that we would want to follow, the doing becomes a little bit more simplistic because we're leading our day. We're not chasing it anymore. We're getting ahead. And so the doing, even though it's not always sexy, I don't know about you, but not all of my day is sexy,
No,
right?
no.
There's a lot of unsexy work that's required for us to scale our dreams, whatever that is. I mean, it could be your family, it could be having children, it could be a business. Whatever that is, there's some unsexy work involved to prepare and hone the skill and have a client experience that's breathtaking, like to build a reputation. So again, in the online space, we don't talk about this enough. We talk about the glamour and the glitz, but we're not talking about what it actually takes. And to build $1 million business, $1 billion business, and as someone who has done that, like, I'm on my way to billions, I'm not there yet, but as someone who has done multi millions, there's some grit required that we need to bring back to the forefront and be proud of. Like, let's start being proud of some work ethic. The becoming is what we have to look forward to. The becoming is that knowing that evolution and our growth is a lifetime. Becoming means we don't arrive when you hit that $1 million business and you've been being that woman behind the scenes and you're doing what is required. When you get to that place that you'd once dreamt of, and this isn't to be like boom, boom, boom. This is actually encouraging. But when you get there, it's beautiful and wonderful, and the view is as great as you thought it would be. Like, the view is breathtaking. You're like, wow, I did it. We're here, and it's wonderful, and relish in it. But you also realize there's mountains beyond what you could see that are yet to climb. And so you realize, oh gosh, I thought this was the peak, but you just had to get to that peak to realize there's more peaks to scale and crawl and, grip and get to. And so that's really the trilogy. The trilogy is, who are you today in this moment, and being so responsible for yourself, doing the work that is required and not fearing what it takes. Like, be proud of what it takes. And then know that the becoming of who you are, especially women, I'm in this very tender, beautiful part of my life where, it makes me emotional, where I just feel so hopeful. I feel so encouraged. I feel so free to explore and adventure and build who this human being is and what's possible within her in this lifetime. And so, women listening in, that becoming, let that be your pursuit every single day. The hope, the fulfillment, the pleasure, the joy, the curiosity, because that's what keeps us in the deep end.
Ah, so good. Thank you. So I love the silk robe story, and something that made the audience giggle and something I wrote down actually was this idea of be like, who's that woman? So I do a lot of that talk in my work as well around creating your future from your future. So, but it's also who do you get to be, that self-image. So, what does the multi-million dollar woman, what does she eat? Who does she associate with? But I love that you threw in there what's in her lingerie drawer. Like,
Yes.
what kind of underwear does she purchase?
Yes.
And I remember not even thinking, like thinking underwear was one thing. This is, thinking of me in my 20s, like I was raised very like Dutch background, very practical. Like this is how you spend money. So underwear being one thing, lingerie being, something different.
Another thing.
Like
Yeah.
what if they could actually be one and the same? What if you could wear lingerie as your underwear every day and be that woman? So it just made me think about your silk robe. Yeah.
Well, and that actually is such a great bridge to talk about romancing ourselves because just to what you say, I think women have associated lingerie with I put that on for someone else.
Mm,
I wear underwear because who's going to see it today? I'm just going to put these packaged underwear on. For me, it's like that mattered from the beginning because it's the very first thing I embody, the very first thing I'm putting on before I put on my clothes. Now, I love fashion. I love style. I love to get dressed. Like my thing is shopping. Like I love it. But I also pay attention to everything. Details matter. And so when you start wearing lingerie on a Tuesday as you're in the office, you show up differently because what about putting that lingerie on for yourself, regardless if anybody's going to see it or not? And so that being able to romance yourself, the silk robe was very much the same feeling. It was like beautiful and the texture and it would like blow behind me as I was going to the kitchen. Like it just feels so feminine and
mm.
empowering for me. Those clues and cues, those things that we put on our bodies really do make a difference. And a wealthy woman does not wear underwear with holes that have should been thrown out a long time ago or underwear that came in a box. Like we don't, because we understand the power of paying attention to all the things. We are becoming this woman, and this woman we're becoming is not going to wear that saggy underwear. She's going to put on something that makes her feel good.
So true. I had it, we just came home from vacation and my daughter had said something about our dog crate and something about like that dirty dog crate, and I came home and I was like, you're right. Like it's kind of gotten rusted. And so what I did was the self-image was, what if I was putting my house up for sale? What would my house, but it's for someone else, but I get to enjoy that. Like so
Yes.
often we bring in a stager or someone to stage your home. But what if you cleared the clutter, you bought the new pillows, you purchased the new comforter, whatever that might be for you? Because
For
our
you.
outside does inform our inside.
Yes. And how many times have we done that if we've sold a property and you get it to where you always wanted it to be and then you give it away and you're like, why didn't I do that? So you're speaking my language. Like this is literally my love language and what I wish more women understood because I think they equivalent that with I need more money in order to have those things. You don't. Like my beautiful white roses, I wish the audience could see that are sitting right here at the corner of my eye are from Costco. They cost $24.99. They're stunning and beautiful and they're opening up. And then I have my crystal glass. I chose a crystal glass. This one was a little bit of an investment. Okay. Yes, it was. But get yourself something pretty to sip your water out of. You know that water tastes way better in a wine glass
Yeah.
or way better in crystal? It does. I have candles here that are lit. Why? Because I want to feel good in this space that I'm in. And I do it for me. I call it Oprah Ready. So
Yes.
very similar to what you were just saying, right? It's like I desire to be ready for the exciting, thrilling things that I'm calling into my life. And so I decided a long time ago that I was going to be Oprah ready, that every day I'd wake up expecting Oprah to knock, knock, knock on my front door. Maybe one day she will. Let's manifest that. But that if she did, I wouldn't feel embarrassed because there's clutter all around my house and my kitchen has dirty plates and I didn't get up and get dressed and get ready. And, like the house doesn't even smell really good. Like I have candles going, I have everything neat and tidy, maybe almost some people could say to a fault, but it feels good to me because I spend my entire day in my home. I build my businesses here, I build my family here. I am in this house a lot. So why wouldn't I make a beautiful space that makes me proud and feel good and accept whoever knocks on my door, whether virtually or physically in that day? I woke up and prepared for that moment.
That was a big one. That stuck with me, and I've been using that as also my guide. So just so you know, like
Good.
before that, all I ever thought about was, and again, having that ceiling of the $1 million, I'd say the $1 million version of Deb. And I know my listener, if people that have been following me know that I've talked about that. But here's your next level. Are you Oprah ready? And so I love that, Jen. So
Good.
you also talked about in the doing to be a little bit tired. And that can feel a bit controversial because there's this anti-hustle movement, which it's like swinging the pendulum one side to the other. So can you talk a bit about, you spoke about responsibility, you talked about being, asking for more, which means that when you ask for more, you receive more responsibility, perhaps more
Yeah.
fear, but you also, that comes along with the success. Can you talk a little bit about that piece around the becoming and the doing?
Yeah, I don't know why we're all so concerned with being rested all the time. It's
Yeah.
fascinating to me.
Mm.
We're so worried. Now, I get it. So let me reframe. I get it, but I think we need to get over it. If I'm being blunt and bold, we come from a hustle culture that was not created for women. We were burnt out. We were trying to keep ahead, and it did not work for us. The world wasn't built for us. Okay, so we know that. But we also know better and then can do better. So if anybody has ever been in burnout, I don't I think I've had moments. I don't think I've ever had total burnout because I'm very much attuned to myself and I pivot when I feel like I'm getting to that point, but I know I've been at points where I've been on the cusp. But when we've been there, and if you're someone who's like, it was awful, I never want to experience that again in my life, I want to empower you to say, you've been through it. So you know the clues and cues, the symptoms. You will be able to be more aware of, like, ooh, I know this feeling. I'm edging towards where I don't want to go, that you can course correct because you've been there and you've walked through it and you've shown your resilience and you are better for it. So that's an empowering thing just for us to recognize out of the gate. Stop trying to avoid it. What if you could just trust yourself a little bit more, knowing that you are going to be more aware, more attuned. And so that's probably not going to happen again. And if it does, you'll get through it again too. But I don't wish that for anybody. Let's avoid it if we can. The second thing is this conversation around nervous system regulation. And I have lots of clients who do this for a living. I believe in it. And I think it's such a valuable, important conversation. But our nervous system is never 100% regulated. The point about nervous system regulation is to learn how to regulate yourself when you are dysregulated. And as an entrepreneur, I am dysregulated a lot. I am being given things in a day that I didn't see coming. I have a team. I've got clients. I've got 4 kids, for crying out loud. That's like an army. There's always something happening. There's something I'm adjusting to. So I am not regulated for most of my day, but I've learned what to do for myself during those times. So I have that trust to be like, ooh, I need a minute. I need to just sit. For me, it's solitude. I just need a minute by myself. I just need to unplug, unwind, be in prayer, gather my thoughts. Remember, this too shall pass. I regulate myself and I go again. But what is happening in the world, especially coming from burnout and hustle culture, is we're fearing that sweat equity. We're
Mhm.
fearing what being tired is. But I know there's good tired and there's not so good tired. A good tired, when I put my head on the pillow at night going, whew, I don't even use the word busy because I think that's a whole other conversation. Like I think
Mhm.
that's such a silly excuse. But anyways, for me, I use the word full. It's how what I've exchanged it for. I had a full day. And all those things that were on my calendar, I once prayed for them. I once prayed to have a full roster of clients. I once prayed to have my DMs light up and have to answer a bunch of people and their questions. I once prayed to have a team. I once prayed for children. I once prayed to be, that type of daughter that can look after her parents as they age. I once prayed to have the conversations with someone like yourself that I'm having today. Like there was a day, oh, I'm going to cry again. There was a day where I thought, imagine someone invites me onto their podcast. Like, imagine. And here I am over 100 podcast interviews later. I will never make wrong what I once prayed for. What I ask of myself is capacity and expansion. What I've learned is how to navigate those full days with giving myself a little bit of time the next morning. I maybe a little gentler, softer start to my day. Or Fridays, I have Friday days that are just for me. That's a day where I do whatever I want. I ask myself, what do you desire? And I answer. And whatever that answer or whatever I hear, I answer with and I do. And so I've learned to be able to harmonize. I don't like the word balance either. I've learned to harmonize my life so that I'm not afraid of being tired, because I want to be tired. I want to be in the work. I want to be doing the things. I want to be meeting the people. I want to be having the conversations, because that's a life worth living. I will sleep when I'm dead. I want to skid to the end of my life. I want to seize every moment, because Deb, I'm sure you feel this too. When we hit that midpoint in age, you start to realize how important time is, and you do not want to take it for granted. And you do not want to take a single day where it's like you drift or coast. What is possible if you went in the deep end every day? And the deep end doesn't mean a full calendar necessarily. The deep end could be, I really need to regulate myself. I've swung the pendulum a little too far. I need to come back. But it's like in the deep end of that pursuit that to me makes a juicy, delicious life that people will talk about. That's legacy.
For sure. And it's success and it's happiness, the sense of
Yes.
achievement, accomplishment. As I was listening to you speak, one of the things that came up for me is that I did have burnout. But when I look at it, was it because I was tired? No, it's because I was exhausted. But I was exhausted not because of the work, but because of mindset around people pleasing and perfectionism. And those were old beliefs, very much set. And it wasn't until I was doing the work through therapy, through coaching, that I got to uncover those. And so I think as I'm listening to you, I think there's some people, me included, who may have mistaken, oh, I don't want to be tired because then I'll go back to burnout. Rather, it's I don't want to go back to people pleasing. I don't want to go back to perfectionism. I want to be back to the being that you talked about, who's the best version of me. And also, as you said, taking care of yourself. So like after I do a full day retreat or workshop, I don't book them back to back, just physically, because
Don't
I
do
give
that.
it my all, right? I
Oh,
pour
yeah.
everything in physically, mentally, and I need to take, it's like, like a trainer, I need to take a day off and then get
Yeah.
back to it. So I've known to be able to do that. But as I was listening to it, I'm thinking, I really think that it wasn't the work. It was the mental. It was about the people pleasing that got me burnout.
This is my theory. And I say this gently because it's my theory, my opinion, and we're all going to have our own experience. My belief is that burnout, just to what you just said, is not the work. Burnout comes from pressuring and doing something that is misaligned. If we're in a job that it's like soul sucking, it's like, I can't do this anymore, but you're showing up and you're doing it over and over and over again. That's when we hit burnout. It's when we're misaligned. Because I agree with you. If we're passionate and on fire for something, we'll work 16 hours a day and not even think twice about it. It's when we're doing something that's misaligned with us, or maybe it's like you say, people pleasing. It may not be the job itself, but the way we're behaving within that position or job. That's where the burnout comes, because we're pressuring something unnatural. We're pressuring something to work when it wasn't meant to work anymore. It's expired like milk. Throw it out, pivot. I mean, that's another big conversation I love to have with women, is their fear of pivoting. I'm like, why? We are so multidimensional, multi-passionate. I mean, the best thing about entrepreneurship for me has been the permission just to follow where I'm being led and what turns me on right now in my life. Like it's been such an outlet for me to express who I am and give myself permission to do that. I know that's not always the case if there's people listening who have a job. I know that's not always the easiest thing, but nothing has to be permanent. And when we're forcing something to work that has expired, that we have to just make peace. It's even with relationships. I think just because you've outgrown somebody doesn't mean something dramatic has to happen or a drama, we don't like each other. It's no, like you had that chapter and now you're moving on and you will always have that chapter together. It doesn't make it wrong. It just means you've graduated. And so that is just such a great way to lead our lives. And I feel like if we did that a little bit more, I wonder how many women would trust themselves to get to work and have that good tired at the end of the day because they did all the things and they feel so good and they're on the path and the trajectory to their soul's purpose. Wouldn't it be magical?
Absolutely. And I'm sure you have this with your clients, and I see that they're blind to it. Like I see it in them and I'm like, if you'd only give yourself permission to let go of some of the things you've been holding on to from the past, or like this is the way somebody along the way told you it has to be this way. And so you're just hanging on to that. And like you said, you're not willing to pivot or to expand. To give themselves permission to, like, as you said, I think to trust yourself, to trust your intuition, to trust that I will naturally be able to know what is in alignment for me. And as we mature, that's going to change. The woman that I was in my 20s and my 30s, and even when I began my business 8 years ago, she's a different woman today and also wants different things. And
Right.
so I've just been scaffolding. All right. So another line that I've been rolling around in my mind since I heard it from you was live this day so you will remember it. Ah, so good. Can you dive a little bit into that? Is that your own? Did you get that from someone else, or where did that originate? Can you
Oh.
even remember?
If I could remember, I'd give credit. I definitely think it was through one of my mentors.
Okay.
Um, she said it a little differently,
Hmm.
but how I interpreted it was living. So actually, let me give the context because I'm starting to remember the story a little bit more. Um, Someone was having a challenging time. I was in a mastermind. Oh, I know who it was. I think it was Melanie Ann Layer. I was in a mastermind and somebody was having a challenging time. And she said to them, when you're in a challenging time, she said, one of the ways I like to lead that is I like to live it the way I want to remember it. So I want to behave and lead and not react in terms of reaction, but like react to what's going on in a way that I want to remember it. So it keeps you accountable to your responsibility in any situation. How I've developed that is in every situation. So to me, every day, I kind of think of it as a Netflix series. Like I think of my life of like, wow, imagine somebody was following me around with a video. And to me, again, this is legacy and what I'd love my kids to remember me by. It's not the stuff I journal that I don't really necessarily want them to have to process. That's my own junk. For me, I want them to remember the life we lived. And so I want to live every day the way I want to remember it. Like today with you right now, I want to give everything I've got to you and this audience. So after on the other side of this, I look back and go, wow, I was really proud of how I showed up and lit my candles and really poured into Debbi and listened and gave everything I could to answer those questions effectively and from my soul. And so that has held me accountable to intention with everything. But yeah, it's especially important though during challenging times. It's like, do you want to look back and be like, gosh, I wish I hadn't said that, or I wish I hadn't, gotten forceful or blurted that out. It's like it holds you to that personal leadership of going, okay, how do I want to remember myself in this situation when I'm on the other side? Because every day, every situation, every circumstance, every experience, every high, every low has a beginning and has an end point. We will be on the other side at some time. And so it's that person on the other side, like what you said, the becoming, that future version of ourselves. How do we want her to look back and witness us during this moment? And so it's a great accountability partner.
Absolutely. And think a number of people in my audience are like me, where they're either in an encore career or they're retired. And I think what
Mm.
can easily happen, and I see this with some of my friends, where days just slip into one another. And it's like the week is gone and the days all look the same. And so
Yeah.
the accountability piece, like I just had this even when I was on vacation, 'cause it's just very easy. We're an all inclusive, and one day, just kind of slides in, well, let's do beach, let's do this, but like, what can I do to be playful? What can I do
Mm.
to make someone else's day better? Like, so that I remember, oh, on Wednesday. So what I did was I actually offered a workshop during my vacation, and people were like, what? Like, you're working on your vacation? I'm like, but I will always remember this vacation. And what happened was I had little girls come and they were declaring a power word I've never heard before. I am funny. Three of them did. Three little girls
Mm.
declared, I am funny. I've never had an adult use that as their power word. And I thought, what if more women simply declared, I am funny? Like, that's a whole other
Yeah.
conversation. But I think because I was bold to even on my vacation to say, I'm going to do something that I'm going to remember on this vacation, more that we've done all the excursions and all the touristy stuff. What is it that will really kind of like shake things up a bit? And so
Yeah.
I want to let you know that that has been really amazing as an affirmation, as an accountability, as a way to say, how at the end of today be a day that I remember. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you for that.
Oh, I love that. And here's the thing, Debbie, you're obviously building a business that is completely aligned and your passion, because when we don't have to escape our work when we're on vacation and we can blend those worlds, that's when we know we're in the sweet spot. I don't very often unplug from my business because I don't feel a need to. We're just talking about this actually on the team. One of my employees was just on a week's vacation. She's like, I noticed I didn't need the full 7 days. I said, well, that's what I've noticed too, because we love what we do. And when we love what we do, yeah, we all need those short little spurts where we unplug and just have time and space to think. And my greatest creative thoughts come through that. But I don't need these big windows of time where I escape my work. It's like it's what I'm supposed to do. It's what I've been planted here to do. So I love that for you, because it's also that opportunity to say, I created a memory making moment. My why from day one with entrepreneurship was to create as many memory making moments as possible. But also, I've just noticed people like, you're working. That's not work to me. That's service that made me feel good. I love that I was able to do both. And what a great example you were to others who are watching.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, One more thing I want to ask you, or two more things. One is around this idea of ask and receive. So I'm a follower of Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, the Success Principles, and he talks about the framework for manifestation being ask, believe, and receive. So you talked about asking and receiving, and I think this is what came in my notes, was that the ask was more the masculine and the receive is more the feminine. Did you say that?
Mhm.
Is that so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, never heard that before. Meanwhile, I talk about ask, believe, receive all the time. And when I heard you say it, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Can you share a little bit about the masculine and feminine? And then after that, I want to talk to you about your magazine, about Iconic, and maybe ask you about, like, not maybe, but I'll ask you to, um, in your in your editorial piece, you talked about the next chapter being your most iconic. So I want to understand, what does iconic mean to you? So, but first I want to ask about this ask and believe, or ask and
Well,
receive.
Jack and I go way back, so I
Oh,
know Jack Canfield. Yeah, he's great and probably one of the greatest mentors for leadership that has ever been on this planet. He's a
yes.
fabulous man. So beyond his chicken soup for the soul, we've had to function in our masculine as women in order to shape shift ourselves to be seen, to be accepted, to be celebrated, to be appreciated, whether that be in relationships, a career, in school. So we're very good at shape shifting. And so what we've done, and this kind of going back to the hustle culture, we really got used to being in our masculine. And that was very much my truth. Like, I function very well in my masculine. If you give me a long list of to-dos, those to-dos will get done. I'm someone that's highly, highly disciplined. And this was going back to the Silk Road moment too. This is all kind of coming full circle, this conversation. I the masculine was so unhealthy in me that I was waking up going, oh my gosh, I was driven from the moment I came to consciousness. And I didn't love the way that felt constantly. And I was working with a couple of mentors on this who were introducing me to the feminine masculine energy. I've never heard of that before at that time. And I was like, this was very foreign to me. I didn't understand. And energy at that time was just a new concept. This is going back to like 2017, 2018. But I knew what they were describing was what my soul was craving. So I didn't really understand the concept, but I really craved the feeling, that softness. So I thought, well, I'm a mom of four. I'm in my feminine because when the kids get home, it's like, I'm doing all the mom things. I was taking it as like a literal gender role where energies is not that. A feminine energy, men have feminine energy. So I had to understand that too, because they said to me, well, how are you mothering? I said, well, what do you mean? They're like, well, tell me, like, what is like? I've said, well, get your lunch pails. Come on, go eat dinner. We got to get up. And they're like, that's masculine. You're driving things forward. The masculine gets things done. We need the masculine, the healthy masculine. So I went through this whole self-development road and journey. And the feminine was so awkward for me. And I wonder how many people listening in would be able to understand or at least kind of comprehend this, where the idea of sitting down and somebody giving me a cup of tea, somebody making dinner, and I'm sitting on the couch and taking a minute of rest, it was so uncomfortable for me because I sort of prided myself in I got all the things done. I do all the things, and I still kind of do, if I'm being honest. Like I still don't have a housekeeper or any sort of support. I do all the things, but in a really like loving feminine way now. So to get to your question, what I had to learn was to receive. And I was so uncomfortable that my mentor at the time said, all I want you to do is for the next week, ask your husband, would you mind making me a cup of coffee? Or, hey, would you mind while you're up, can you make me a cup of tea? And nothing in my body wanted to do that. I was like, I can do that for myself. And then I assumed, what if I ask him and he gets annoyed because he has to make me something? Like these were all the assumptions and the thoughts that were scrambling in my head. But I'm a student and I thought, well, I'm not going to judge it until I try it. What was astonishing to me was when I asked, hey, do you mind making me a cup of tea while you're up? I would love one. He lit up. Why? Because I allowed him to step into his masculine energy. The masculine loves to give, loves to create, loves to build, loves to be that person that, is in a little bit of control, where the feminine gives space for that. And he would give me the tea and he was so happy. And I was like, oh, I kind of like how this feels. And what was so generous about this lesson that I didn't realize until I realized was it was reciprocal. By me receiving, I was learning to be in my feminine and comfortable with that. He was learning to be back into his masculine because I allowed there to be space. And the relationship started to function more appropriately and beautifully because I wasn't constantly the driver. I was giving space for him to do the things that were very innate for him. And again, he wasn't able to do because I did for myself. So this ask and receive is so important for us to be able to do both. It's important for us to ask for what we want. It's important for us to ask and inquire and declare. Like that's bold and audacious, especially as women, like use your voice, but also lean back a little bit and allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to receive the abundance. Allow yourself to receive the compliments. Allow yourself to receive the new client. If you're always driving and you're not allowing the space for that reciprocation, it's just never going to feel as good as it gets to be. So that's a very short description of my journey with feminine and masculine. Now people say to me all the time, it's so interesting. Like if you knew me years ago, you wouldn't have said this, but now when I meet people, especially who understand energy, they'll say, I've never met someone so embodied in a healthy masculine and have healthy feminine. Like they're like, and it's not on purpose. It's by practicing, it's by exploring, it's by learning, and it's by having this dance. Because it's not one or the, well, it is one or the other in some ways, but it is a dance. It's a waltz, because sometimes in your day, you need to be a little bit more in the masculine and sometimes in the day, a little bit more in the feminine. But it has been so beautiful and rich for my relationships. That has been the greatest reward.
Ah, thank you for sharing that. So I received a copy of your beautiful magazine. She's not kidding. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you're listening, well, let's just say right now, where can they find your magazine?
Well, they can find it at Iconic Magazine _ on Instagram. It's probably the easiest way. Or you can go to the website becomingiconic.co.co, and the digital copy is complimentary. So at least they can get their hands on that. But I will say, the whole point of this magazine, and you're saying it, Debbie, by nodding, and you and I are in agreement already, and I wish more women could touch it because they would understand. The point of this magazine is the remembering of pause, the remembering of touching something and sitting and taking time to sip your coffee and dream again. And talk about, you do vision boards and you love talking. That's what this is. It's a quarterly vision board for yourself to, oh yeah, it's like one of those things where you're like, "Ooh," but yes, at the same time celebrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I built this magazine as business stories, women telling their stories to inspire and delight, but also this beautiful lifestyle component to have you remember that your underwear matters, that the way you dress matters, what you eat matters, where you travel to matters, what your space in your home looks like matters. We have in our spring issue, a whole article coming in around landscaping. Like, it's paying attention to the details of your life and business, and how the meshment of that is what creates the most fulfillment. But touch it, order one.
Yeah.
You won't regret it. It's like the
No,
best coffee table book.
for sure. Love the weight of it. Love, yeah,
Yeah.
the feel, the shine to it. It's just, yeah, it is beautiful. Stunning.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's tie things together. And like I said, in the beginning here, you, as the editor in chief, you talk about deciding, coming into 2026, deciding what your next chapter will be and being the most iconic yet. So I was curious when I read that, what does she mean by it being your most iconic yet? What do you mean about that?
So for me, what I mean when I think of the word iconic, I think of myself being fully expressed. I'm not holding myself back for fear of what will people think, or is this too much, or what ifs. Instead, I trust myself enough to go all in. I love to cannonball in the deep end and make a big splash. So this year being my most iconic year, first of all, it already has been. So this will speak to you. I did a dream board, and most of my dream board, it's only March when we're recording this, March 3rd. Majority of my dream board has already come to life. In 2026, I've had the most radical, beautiful, expansive. Oh, it's just been such a good start to this year. I worked hard for this, so I need to make sure people understand that I had some crunchy moments to get to this other side, but I'm on the other side, and now it's a time for everything to kind of get its like reputation built. It's the magazine definitely has a great reputation. I really am hopeful in 2026 that more women have this in their living rooms, on their coffee tables, in their book bag, taking it on the plane with them. That is really, to me, iconic, because this was never made for me. This was created for the women who I know need to remember pause and dreaming and envisioning and expanding all the time. Because if we're in that fully expressed version of ourselves, nothing is impossible. Nothing. And I'm a living, breathing example of that. I have more stories than Kellogg's has cornflakes. And so because I have lived that way. And so being iconic this year is really celebrating while simultaneously stretching into what's possible.
Well said. Thank you so much for being here, Jen. I could talk to you for another hour. I know there's so many things, but for those who want more of you, they can find you on your podcast, right?
Yes.
The Iconic Podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. So please go follow Jen over there. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Any last words?
I want to say thank you, Deb. This has been such a beautiful conversation. I appreciate you actually gathering those notes because some of the things I forgot what I had said. So they were great reminders and gentle reminders for myself and hopefully the audience of remembering our truth, remembering trust, remembering belief, remembering that no vision is too big. Like I know you teach this, but it's never going to fall short for me that if we have been blessed with a vision, it's for us. And the only thing standing in the way of who we are today and that vision that we have is the audacity to go for it. And so I really hope that this gave some fuel, some injection of energy today to the people listening in. Even if someone's retired, like retired what? Go do something. Go create a beautiful garden or volunteer or build the next business. It's just seize the day, become the woman. You're not done becoming until your last breath. So don't give up on that pursuit.
Mm. And to quote you, I wrote this down as well, and I'll finish off here. God did not create extras. So you have a purpose, set your vision, get into your goals, be, do, and become the best version of you. And don't forget to dare to declare. Today, we've delved into the realm of manifesting giants, exploring the power of declaring our desires to the universe with unapologetic boldness. But before we bid adieu, I have a little something special to share with all of you dreamers out there. Introducing the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and online DIY Vision Board course, your ticket to manifesting greatness in style. Picture this. Flipping through pages filled with inspiring images, empowering quotes, and step-by-step guides to help you create the vision board of your dreams. Whether you're yearning for that spacious condo with a view or a love that sets your soul on fire, our magazine is here to guide you every step of the way. Dive deep into the art of manifesting with our exclusive online DIY vision board course. Led by manifesting expert, yes, yours truly, and seasoned dreamers. This course will teach you the ins and outs of creating a vision board that speaks to your heart and soul. So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of the manifesting giants and dare to declare your wildest dreams to the universe. Head over to our website, debbisluys.com, and grab your copy of the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and enroll in our online DIY Vision Board course today. Until next time, keep dreaming big and daring to declare, because in the world of manifesting, the sky's the limit.